Have you ever stopped to think about the hidden language that's shaping how you think and act literally every single day? Well, today we are cracking open that very idea. We're diving deep into the 8th chapter of J. Daniel Aleos's book, Tending the Garden, to really get a handle on the unseen power of symbols.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question. A stop sign, the word father, and, I don't know, the logo for your favorite brand. What on earth do those three things have in common? They seem totally unrelated, right? Well, they're not. They are all, in their own way, powerful engines that are shaping you, and by the end of this, you're going to see exactly how.
All right, first up, the unseen language of symbols. Most of us tend to think of symbols as, well, just decoration, a little flair we add on top of the real world. But what this chapter argues is that we've got it completely backward. They're not secondary at all. They are the primary language our mind uses to make sense of everything.
So, what is a symbol, really? The book gives us this fantastic definition. It's anything, literally anything, that carries more meaning than what it physically is. The best way to think about it is like a zip file for meaning. It takes a huge, complex idea and compresses it into something you can get in a split second. A stop sign isn't just a red metal octagon. It's a whole bundle of ideas about law, safety, and social order, all packed into one shape. And this is where you start to see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. We are swimming in symbols all the time. The number 2 isn't actually two things. It's the idea of two-ness. The word mother isn't just a label for a person. It's this massive container filled with expectations, history, and a ton of emotional weight. We basically never deal with raw reality. We're almost always interacting with these symbolic shortcuts instead. So, if these symbols are everywhere, what are they actually doing to us? Well, that brings us right to our second section. The point here is that they aren't just passive labels. No, they are the active scaffolding that we use to build our reality. They're the very structure of our thoughts. And they don't all carry the same weight. The book breaks it down into 3 levels. First, you've got the cognitive level, super basic. A symbol like chair is just a mental shortcut so your brain doesn't have to analyze that object from scratch every single time. Then there's the identity level. A role like teacher or pastor comes loaded with a whole set of expectations. And finally, you have the cultural level. Think of flags or corporate logos or even a courtroom. These symbols announce to everyone what a whole group of people believes is real and important. And right here, this is the gut punch. This quote is absolutely crucial. If symbols are the scaffolding for how we think, then what happens when that scaffolding gets warped or broken? Well, the conclusion is pretty stark. Symbol damage is thought damage. It messes with our fundamental ability to make sense of the world. And another thing, symbols don't just sit there. They are actively calling you to do something. This table lays it out so clearly. A powerful story in an image is an invitation to feel. A progress bar in an app is an invitation to try. A simple, clear diagram invites you to understand. And something like a cross or a flag, that's a powerful invitation to believe. They're like doorways pulling you into a certain way of being. So this naturally leads us to the biggest danger of all. What happens when this incredibly powerful system gets corrupted? What happens when it breaks? The book digs into 2 main ways this happens, and honestly, this is where it gets really serious.
Okay, pay close attention to this one, because it's key. You've got 2 major threats. On one side, valence hijacking. Think of this as the front-end attack. It's happening right now, misusing a symbol's power. On the other side, you have symbolic contamination. This is the long-term back-end damage. It doesn't just misuse the symbol. It ruins its credibility for everyone, for good. Let's look at each one.
First up, valence hijacking. This is when something that's totally false borrows the positive feeling, that's the valence, of something true. And the book has this amazing metaphor for it. It's the snake oil in a well-designed bottle. It's a lie wearing the clothes of truth and beauty. Think about a scammy website that uses beautiful design and pictures of happy families to look trustworthy. It works because it bypasses our critical thinking and goes straight for that symbolic shortcut. We see the trusted symbol, we let our guard down, and the lie slips right in. But what happens after that lie gets exposed? That's when the other threat, symbolic contamination, takes over. This is the poison that lingers. The book uses this incredibly powerful and tragic example of an abusive person who holds the role of father. The damage they do isn't just to the child. They poison the entire idea of what a father is in that child's mind. And it leads to this devastating conclusion. It's not just I reject that person, it becomes I reject the entire category. This is exactly why one bad experience can make someone cynical about all politicians or all charities forever. The well has been poisoned. And this, right here, is the real long-term danger. This isn't just about the initial wound. It's about sabotaging a person's future. When the symbol for something good, like community or leadership or even love, becomes toxic for someone, it cripples their ability to recognize the real, healthy version of that thing when it shows up later. It basically inoculates them against goodness. So the big question becomes, what are we supposed to do about it?
Now, this can all feel pretty overwhelming, I get it. But the book doesn't just leave us there in despair. It makes a really important pivot from analyzing the problem to figuring out our role in fixing it. And that brings us to our final section, Tending the Garden of Meaning.
And this is where it gets really, really personal. This isn't just some abstract idea about big cultural forces. Whether you realize it or not, as a parent, a friend, a coworker, a leader, you are a symbol to someone. To somebody, you are the walking, talking definition of what those roles mean. When you realize that, it lands you with two huge responsibilities. First, we have a duty to repair. That means we have to acknowledge the damage that's been done by contaminated symbols and do the hard work of re-anchoring them to the truth they were supposed to point to. And second, we have to be good stewards of the symbols we carry ourselves. We have to live with integrity, not just for ourselves, but because we have a responsibility to protect meaning itself for the people who are watching us. And that's really the core message. It's so tempting to just throw up our hands and say, well, symbols are broken, so I'm just not going to play the game. But according to this book, that's not really an option. Detachment is an illusion. The only real path forward is stewardship, to actively take on the job of caring for the meaning that's been entrusted to us. The chapter closes with this really powerful statement. Once you see this, once you understand how this whole system works, you can't unsee it. You're awake now. And with that awareness comes a new kind of responsibility. Inaction is no longer an innocent choice. You can't just pretend that your presence and your actions don't have a formative impact on others. And so we end right where the chapter does, with this incredibly direct and, honestly, kind of haunting question. This isn't about you going out and fixing the whole world. It's about the garden that you've personally been given to look after, the roles you're in, the people you influence. Now that you're awake to all of this, will you tend what you've been given?